president wants to turn back the clock to some mythical age when America was great for guys like him. But the disability community remembers what it was like to live as second-class citizens. Many were feared, locked up in institutions, sterilized, abused, viewed as takers with nothing to contribute. Nothing to contribute, really? Disability activists have a particularly impressive track record. They pressured Nixon into signing the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, making disability a civil rights issue. When the government stalled for 4 years over Section 504, which detailed implementation of the act, they held sit-ins all over the country, forcing the government, the media, and the world to listen.
The harassment, the lack of equity that has been provided for disabled individuals, and that now is even being discussed by the administration, is so intolerable that I can't quite put it into words. I can tell you that every time you raise issues of separate but equal, the outrage of disabled individuals across this country is going to continue. It is going to be ignited. There will be more takeovers of buildings until finally maybe you begin to understand our position. We will no longer allow the government to oppress disabled individuals. We want the law enforced. We want no more segregation. We will accept no more discussion of segregation. And I would appreciate it if you would stop shaking your head in agreement when I don't think you understand what we are talking about.
The government gave in and signed Section 504, and our nation became more accessible. Activists went on pushing for the Americans with Disabilities Act, for education access for all, and right now, the fight to save the Affordable Care Act, which for many is a life or death issue.
But I think if you look at the fight to save the Affordable Care Act, nobody can deny the fact that the disability community carried the water on that. Literally seeing activists around the country, not just here in Washington, but, and predominantly disabled women, really leading the charge.
Rebecca was born with achondroplasia, a common cause of dwarfism. She embraced activism, joined Barack Obama's team in 2004, and later worked in the White House. Today, she's senior fellow for the Center for American Progress, working on disability policy and fighting current efforts to gut the Americans with Disabilities Act.
The bill in the House is H.R. 620, which is the ADA Information and Education Act. And what that really does is it's terrifying. It removes any incentive for voluntary compliances by businesses that are not accessible. It puts all the onus and all the responsibility on the disabled person who encounters the access barrier to send a very detailed book, chapter, and verse citing which provisions of the ADA the business is in violation of. And then it gives the business another 6 months of time with which to respond and comply, where the ADA is 27 years old. Businesses had 27 years to fall into compliance, and they haven't done it yet.
If you're thinking that disability rights only affect a small minority, think again. 57 million Americans, 19% of our population, have disabilities, about half of them severe. The disabled aren't living on the outer fringes of society. They're in our homes, in our families. They are the people we love. They're us. With so many civil rights issues under attack these days, I asked Rebecca, what gives you hope?
The fact that we're still here and we're still continuing to fight. Our existence is resistance.